think you're going? The fun's all right here.
Hope like I boxed the whip on the way to knock her with a bitch and a killer, feeling like I'm leading Taka. Slizzy off a sake, we ain't fucking with no vodka. I'm riding through your hood with my motherfucking chopper like we get this, decapitate the witness. AK-47 Ronin got you rappers on my hit list. Ask Jesus for forgiveness. All I got is vengeance. Show me stage shoguness and Goku with a sentence. Dead to the usurper, the masses in their fervor. Guess they ain't heard, can't have a revolution with no murder. Faster than I'm murder, overthrow the empire. Sovereign of the Sekai, and bitches call me senpai. Born under a red sky, child of the Ainu. Your soldiers don't respect you if they won't die right beside you. Conqueror of kaiju, Daisho down in Daizu with nothing but some cold hard steel for all my rivals.
And what's good, all you beautiful kings, queens, and royal in betweens? Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. What up, some saying? Yeah, that's actually it's my boy Ishida. There's one at Penny Spot. Same thing is going to be true. From out from Kansas City. I'm from KC, and all the love is there. But it's about me. It's not about me today, guys. It's about my boys coming in for an amazing stream. Y'all, I want you to lose your goddamn minds. Because today we have the king of manga himself, Godswill Ukshay from Viz, and man whose name speaks for itself, the legend who tells us all things comics and explains them. Get him so alone. Anyway, Comics Explained with us here. Y'all, show some love. Oh, starting up here, Godswill, right there in the middle, my man. Tell him the truth, brother. Tell myself real quick.
Yo, happy to be here. Yeah, I mean, happy. Thank you so much for inviting me. Been friends with Bill for honestly more than a decade at this point. I've been in the anime and manga world for actually a decade too, starting in April, and I have been a part of Viz Media for 6 years. And I mean, I love anime, I love manga. I mean, as you see, I'm wearing my My Hero Academia Lakers jersey right here, or jacket,
so
I guess,
dope.
right? I mean, I love it. I live it. I feel really lucky I get to do this, and like I have lots of favorites. I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, happy to be here.
My man. And to our right, Rob.
Yo.
Goddamn Rob.
Yo, what's up, man? Yeah, okay, so I cannot say that I've known Bill for 10 years. I can say I've known Bill for several months, so we go back to I don't know, the summer?
Yeah.
Maybe? I'm not 100% sure, so.
Summer of
yeah.
2025.
My
what a glorious
God.
summer.
Yeah.
Y'all, it's good to have you here on this stream, sporting this wonderful, beautiful Black History Month, and seeing two wonderful creators here with us today. Man. All right, so I got a question for you guys here. Listen. There's some things people ask in every single stream, every Q I've ever been in my entire life. Y'all, you guys are thriving. You live it. You damn inspirations, man. So I gotta know, and I think that our audience here has to know as well. Listen, how'd you guys get there? What's the origin story? And who wants to go first? Go first. And let's go.
I want to hear God's
You want to Godswill first?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So my origin story is funny. I was supposed to be a doctor, and I did my master's. I did a double major in college, for biology and business. I did my master's for healthcare administration. This was supposed to be the family plan for me. I'm the eldest son, supposed to do this, and then on the side I did anime. I did an anime club that actually got the attention of Crunchyroll and Funimation back in the day.
Damn.
And yeah, and it worked out really well. We were won a lot of awards. I was trying to make a Justice League of anime clubs back in Dallas area. And then I graduated, but at that point I had got the attention of Funimation, and Funimation was local. And Funimation, I would just do different things, help out conventions, talk to staff members, and then they reached out to me. They're like, "Hey, do you want to work with us?" And I'm like, "Me?" I was working at the hospital. And I mean, I definitely never looked back. I was yeah, let me let me do this for real, you know? Like, my parents thought it was gonna be like a temporary thing. I mean, actually, I didn't even know how far it would go, but I'm really happy that like it worked out really well. And then I left Funimation 4 years into it, so 2019, and then made my way to California. Now I work for Viz Media and try my best to like consume all things manga. Now I'm a community manager. I do a lot of influencer engagements. What else do? I do panels at conventions. Yeah, I mean, I just have a lot of fun with manga, and like I trying to see if we can get like the rest of the world and especially America like into manga.
Yes, sir. Okay, Dr. Goswell.
Yeah.
My
The
man.
doctor information's gone, unfortunately, but like I still do my best, you know.
Oh, I'm sure it's like riding a bike, right? We sit you down in front of a cadaver. Right?
All right, ready to go, right? Oh man, unfortunately, like I'll do my best. I know medication every now and then.
I
get
see you.
that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. How about you, Rob?
Yeah, ironically enough, I was going to be a history teacher before
Get
I
out.
ever became a content creator. Yeah,
I mean,
like,
it
well, I
sounds
always,
like
always
sad.
wanted to be. I always wanted to be a history teacher. I mean, I was working for like the utility company for the University of Kentucky. But yeah, like I got into comics when I was a little kid. My dad and I used to watch X-Men the animated series, and then he tried to get me into DC. Wasn't really feeling it. Ended up going into Marvel instead, and you know, became a Marvel fan ever since. And then you know, always having a love of comics and always wanted to teach people stuff. I took 2 weeks off work, wasn't overly happy with my job, made a video or a handful of videos, and then one of them popped off. And yeah, the rest is history. Like I just ended up working at my job for about another, I don't know, about another year,
Yeah.
and then I bailed out. Yeah, I took off.
Let's go.
Started doing my own thing. Yeah, and that was, Jesus, that was almost like 14 years ago at this point. Yeah, it was a
That
long
must be
time
really
ago.
scary.
Yeah. Oh, it scared the hell out of me. Yeah, walking away from a 9 to 5, right? I mean, because you're talking about like a university job, right? So health benefits, retirement, you know, dental, vision, all that kind of stuff. Walking away from all that, just strike out into the world, and yeah, scared the hell out of me. But it turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
Here
Well,
you
at
are
least
now.
at that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
God.
that's
gotta-
amazing.
That's gotta feel good, y'all. From like hospital to a college, man. You almost feel like you're just flying right now, living your passion.
Oh, dude, it's amazing, man. Because when you start like chasing down, or start leaning into like opportunities, right? Like that. They just like come knocking on your door, right? As crazy as they may seem, there comes a point. And Godswill, I don't know if you feel about this, Bill. I'm sure you have, but Godswill, I don't know if you ever felt like this. But there are times when you kind of sit down and like nothing feels impossible. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, damn.
Honestly,
like,
yeah. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we did the first hurdle, you know, and broke into this sort of crazy dimension, like where this didn't seem possible, but now we're here, and yeah, like everything else feels really possible to happen. I agree with you.
Yep. Hold on a minute.
up?
Yo, we just got a bit of a raid here. Devin and Raccoon.
Oh, nice.
Let's go. And I'm not sure, maybe, I'm not sure if you know, but Devin Ragu, he's a character he made, but Devin's amazing. He's literally the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog on Netflix.
Wow.
Let's
Hey.
go.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Devin
Hey,
is the man. Appreciate the raid, my guy. You all right, brother. You just missed a little bit of an origin story here from Godswill and Rob Goddamn Jefferson. Oh man. But actually on this vibe here of like, you know, celebrating this beautiful bit of our time, our month, our time right now, I gotta know, like, from a doctor to just pretty much running things, especially with like Viz. And Rob, you are like a titan in comics right now. Like, what are you guys like you can talk about working on like right now?
Oh, Godswill, go for it, man.
I'm like, what can I talk about?
Yeah, dump those trade secrets, the things that come with like confidentiality stamps. And,
Break all your
Let me
NDAs.
get into it, right?
yeah.
One for Viz Media, like this will be our 40th anniversary.
Hey yo.
So this year. So like we're planning on doing like quite a bit for it this year, throughout the year. I can't talk about like what we're doing for that, but like I think like it's public knowledge that like we're 40 now, so woo, so excited to act like it. And then I believe very soon we'll be doing like announcements for titles coming out later on this year. So like this week, I believe we'll be doing like like tinting and teasing of like what titles like we are aiming to put out. So can't talk about what those titles are, but pretty excited that that's happening. What else are we doing? Big thing for us is like we're putting out an anime called Rooster Fighter. So yeah, like it's real. I know. Like it looks so bizarre, but
Yeah.
it's actually
It
a
sounds
banger.
bizarre.
It was bizarre. I mean, like it's like straight up like actual chickens like that kill demons. And like it actually goes hard. Like I read the manga. I'm caught up in the manga. It's on chapter like 58 right now.
Let's go.
And it's actually like goes in the paint. And then I saw the first episode of the anime, and we showed that like last year at what convention? A few conventions last year, but like it's coming out this spring.
Awesome.
So very excited for it to come out. We're getting started on that. We're doing a lot of promotions for it. Yeah, we're trying to make that a big deal. So yeah, that's at least like the Viz things I think I can talk about. So yeah.
That's what's up. Rooster Fighter. I will be watching.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, man. Like, so I know I'm probably jumping the gun a little bit on the whole discussion about like anime, manga, that kind of thing. But one of the things I have learned getting into that, man, is it's so eclectic. Like, I recently watched this one called "The Devil's a Part-Timer."
Let's
Yeah.
go.
And yeah,
Banger.
yeah, dude, it's amazing, right? The devil comes to Earth and gets a part-time job, and I was like, that's dope, right? That's amazing. But like it feels so eclectic. So the fact that there is a anime coming out about a rooster and like chickens fighting demons, on one hand, I'm just kind of like, man, that sounds crazy. But on the other hand, I'm like, but it is an anime, so that kind of sounds about right. Like, it's,
Honestly, also, like I guess like circling back to like what you had said a little earlier, but like, yeah, honestly, like especially like being in the anime world, like it feels like so much is possible. Like there's so many different types of content. I'm always wondering like how the Japanese like create these works of art, like beautiful art, and like of the most random concepts too. Like I'm trying to think. Like I mean, I remember like crying from a ping pong anime.
Hey yo.
You know, who would have thought?
Really?
Yeah, 11 episodes, anger show, and it made me cry. You know, it was like, oh, it's another like random theme, I guess. You know, like there's just always like something random that's happening. Like a lot of manga I'm reading right now is just super random. Like I'm reading like Magi, almost done with it.
Dude, Maga's
And
great.
it's yeah, banger, and it's sort of like, oh, this is gonna be just fun, and then now they're talking about killing God, and it's like, oh, all right, who would have thought? I mean, it goes places. I don't know how the Japanese like came up with these ideas, but they're on point with it.
dude, that's cool. Like that's I don't know, man. Like, yeah, at the risk, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But like, at the risk of stirring the pot,
Stir away, brother.
the more I get into anime,
Yeah.
and knowing how many anime are based on manga or they're based on like webtoons, right? So like Solo Leveling, but like they're based on some kind of like some kind of like print media from that part of the world, like Asia.
Yeah.
The more I look at that kind of stuff, the more I'm just kind of like, damn. So we really got Spider-Man fighting Green Goblin for like the 90th millionth time?
Yeah.
Like, damn.
That's something I guess like I had been wondering about comics. Like, it's like I like at least I'm not like bored of that. Like, would you say you're like that like you're tired of like
Sometimes, but sometimes not. I mean, because with me, I think it's also a little bit different because I've been reading comics for like almost 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
So for me, sitting down and saying, okay, cool. So like we get it, like anytime a new writer comes along and they're like, we're relaunching Spider-Man, right? Number one, and like a new writer takes over. you can set your watch to what they're going to do, right? Okay, like here's Spider-Man's new home, and here's Spider-Man fighting his new, and here's my interpretation of Spider-Man fighting Dr. Octopus or whoever. So they always kind of go through like the paces for like the first, 2 to 3 story arcs. And then they start kind of branching out and doing their own thing. And along the way, they'll kind of start putting in these little plot threads that build up to something bigger, and maybe they introduce something new. I'm always excited to see what a new writer's interpretation on the character is. Scott Snyder's Batman versus Grant Morrison's Batman versus Dennis O'Neil and Neil Adams, right, or something like that. But at the end of the day, it always kind of comes back to the same thing, which, I mean, to me, it's sometimes comforting, right? Where it's just kind of like, cool, so Batman's not going to change that much. But there are other times where it's just kind of like, what I wouldn't give to just see Batman fight God one day. Right,
Wow,
like how dope would that be, right? I mean, it's but again, the way that like gods, are presented in well, really even just between Marvel and DC is starkly different, right? But I don't think they're really presented in the same way that anime and manga are. Now, again, I'm still dipping my toe in the water, so I don't know if I can like speak intelligently to like here's how gods are consistently shown in anime and manga, But yeah, I wouldn't say that I get bored, but there are times where I'm just kind of like, I wish they would do something different.
I was actually even wondering, like, can they do something different? Like, it feels like you can't touch, especially like those hallowed heroes, like too much, or like do something super crazy to them, right?
Would you say the absolute
actually,
universe is that, where it's a little different?
It is. It's different, but it's the same at the same time. And I'll talk about what I mean, here in a second. But like, one of the things that I do want to hear from God's Will when it comes to anime and manga, because I don't know if you were following it, but Jim Lee, right? He's like, are you familiar with Jim Lee?
Yes. Yeah, DC president, right?
Yeah, he's like the artist guy, right? He's like the guy. I mean, that dude's been, that guy's portfolio is 40 years in the making, at this point. 30 years in the making at this point. I mean, the guy's been, he's been doing stuff since the late 80s. But he recently came out and he was like, there's a lot that like Western comics can learn from manga, which pissed off comic book fans to no end, right? It pissed people off so bad. But I was like, actually, guys, there's some merit here, to this. Like, there's some merit to that statement. But that's why I kind of want to pick your brain and kind of do like this juxtaposed, right? So, I mean, take for example, if we talk about the absolute universe, like Bill was saying. I mean, as you know, right, Batman is Bruce Wayne. His mom and dad were killed in an alley, and he decides that he wants to, avenge their deaths by dressing up as a rodent in the middle of the night and beating people up. Right? It's a very simplified and silly explanation, but really, right? He decides to become a vigilante so that no one else has to experience what he experienced, right? In DC Comics, there is a universe called Flashpoint, where instead of it being Bruce Wayne's parents who die in the alley, it's Bruce who dies in the alley. And so then his dad ends up becoming Flashpoint Batman, as he's called, and his mom goes crazy and becomes the Joker. Flashpoint Batman is just, he doesn't have like all the crazy technology of Bruce. He doesn't like have all the fighting capabilities of Bruce or anything like that. He's just a dude who's like, what if the Punisher became Batman in a cave with like a laptop or something like that? But then when you turn around and you look at Absolute Batman, in so many ways, it feels like Flashpoint Batman, but with a whole new method of storytelling. And it's great. It's fantastic. It's the coolest Batman's been in years and years and years and years and years. But at the end of the day, it is in some capacity drawing off something that's been done before and then reworking it, because you can only change Batman so much. Right? In the Absolute Universe, it's only his dad that dies, but like one of them's got to go. Right, whether it's his mom or his dad, somebody's got to die, right, for him to become Batman. Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be cool if they were like, if there's an alternate reality where Batman had a sister, right, and she died, and that's what led to Bruce becoming Batman in the first place. But as it stands now, it's always the death of one or both of his parents, and then he goes on to become Batman because of it, right? Superman always comes from Krypton. How Krypton is destroyed changes based on the story. In Superboy Prime's universe, it was incinerated by his son. In the main DC universe, it exploded. Right, but Krypton is always destroyed. He always comes from that world and arrives on Earth. In Superman Red Son, he arrived in the Soviet Union and was raised as a Soviet soldier. But the fact is, it's always like this kind of template. Yeah. Right. Like if you're a writer and you're like, I'm going to write a story about Batman. Right. You go to the template shelf, you take out the Batman template, and you say, I might change this and this, and then you send the story out there. Whereas with manga and anime, I mean, I got to be honest. Like again, relatively new to all this, but if I sit down and watch Solo Leveling, and then having watched Dragon Ball Z when I was younger, and then watch Attack on Titan, and then watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, they all feel so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they very much are. And like I think like they build up off of each other, but it's like individuals who get to create the story from beginning to end. Like brand new universes, and a lot of these, like you had mentioned before, like they either like wrote like a light novel or like they created a manga by themselves, and it's really impressive, especially like I guess like the sort of pressure that they have to keep up. Like they have to do this weekly, and like have a high standard, so that way they can maintain themselves within like the magazines that they're in, like the Shonen Jumps, Giga Jumps, whatever, right? And definitely like you see like a lot of love, between like the different, like people like will always love Dragon Ball, right? And like that has inspired like so many creatives, but I'm always surprised like with the ingenuity, I think, like of these creators, honestly. Like I have been blown away by like slice of life type of stories, like not just like the most action packed boom 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 boom, like although I absolutely do love that, but like I have been blown away and impacted by like so many different types of stories. And I think it's nice, like also these creatives like aren't always afraid to I guess kill off like their characters, and then like I mean it definitely depends, like if it's like maybe like for a boys manga like or a girls manga, like they might not kill off like a main character, but they also like I do see a lot of more risk taking, I should say, like versus like like comics like as like I guess you can't really kill off a lot of these heroes, like you have to, like we need them, right? Like it, like I guess could you imagine like like one of the main heroes, a Spider-Man or a Batman or Superman, like being permanently dead? Like, does that seem like realistic or like even feasible to you?
No, temporarily dead. I mean, okay, so like, there's a really good example, right? Like in Final Crisis, the villain Darkseid hit Batman with the Omega Sanction. Now, if it hit anybody else, they would be dead. If it hit like any regular human, they would be dead and gone. Batman gets time displaced because he's just too popular to kill, right? And but having said that, and I got to stand up for, I mean, I'm a comic book YouTuber. I got to stand up for comic books. I think that's also what kind of creates a really interesting challenge with comic books. Because I think if we're talking about, Batman as such a long-running character, it would be like if Dragon Ball has just been written in that universe all this time, right? And they're doing spin-offs, right? So now it's like Gohan's series and Piccolo's series,
Please, God.
Bulma's series, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, some of that would be dope. Dude, I would love to see like a solo series on Gohan.
Actually,
that
I
would
wish
be
that we
amazing.
could do that. Like, I think, like Dragon Ball now is like too much like like I guess like regular comics, or not regular, I shouldn't say regular comics. Like one, like I have like I have a lot of respect for comics, like I wish I can get into them right now, but like I'm just super focused like on what I'm doing. But like comics are amazing for a reason, like there's a reason we're still talking about them, and definitely love to pick your brain some more. But like I think like Dragon Ball like is like an example of like too popular to kill, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, that's very true. I mean, like I mean, Goku dies, but we all kind of know that when Goku dies, he just gets a halo. He goes to heaven. He hangs out there for a little while until they need him again, and then they gather the Dragon Balls and wish him back, or something along those lines. I think as far as I'm aware, the only time Goku died and stayed dead permanently was like in the history of Trunks.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the only time he was just like done and gone forever. But to the point about comic books, right? I mean, imagine that Dragon Ball's being written all this time. Right, that it's not just Akira Toriyama, right? Despite the fact that he passed away, right? They're saying that he hadn't, and he's just been writing it all this time. But then, like, somebody else is writing the Gohan series, and somebody else is writing the Piccolo series, and then those writers decide to shift out, right? So Akira Toriyama decides to retire, somebody else comes on, they take over the Dragon Ball series, and it's their interpretation of it, which I think is actually happening right now with Akira Toriyama passing away. I think somebody else is taking over and writing the Dragon Ball series. Kind of continue, keeping it on. But it's always someone's perspective of it. Except now, it's not really the way that it used to be. I think in more recent years, the longest anyone's been on a title, I think, was when Kelly Thompson was writing the Captain Marvel series, and went on for something like 70 some odd issues, I think. I'm not going to swear to that. I don't remember the exact issue number, but it was for a pretty chunky period of time. You do have writers that stay on the titles, for a pretty lengthy period, but you don't really have a point where anybody's writing a comic for like 100-something issues. So, you get it for a pretty short period of time. But the fact is, right, that it's always rotating. It's always someone's interpretation, and I think that's where the interesting challenge comes into play. Because if Tom King finishes writing Batman, and let's say that Scott Snyder, who did the whole New 52, comes on and doesn't decide to do it again. Say somebody else comes on. Because I think after Tom King, it was James Tynion, and then after James Tynion, I don't remember who wrote it after James Tynion, but Matt Fraction's writing it right now, right? Matt Fraction's job is to sit down and say, okay, what has been done with Batman, and how can I either create something new or take what's been done with Batman and turn it into something different that people haven't necessarily seen before. I think there's something kind of cool about that, right? Because I think that it's like a life perspective, right? Because I'm a really huge fan of street photography, right? So if I take two people, I hand them cameras, and I sit them in front of the Empire State Building, and I say, take a picture of this, right? They're both going to take it from two completely different angles, and they're going to see two completely different things, and both pictures probably won't look the same. And it's the same thing with writing, with comic book writing. Two writers write the same title, and they write it differently based on their own interpretation. Whereas I think in some ways, when you're talking about a series like Dragon Ball is almost kind of etched in stone, right?
Yeah, very much.
That like Goku has to be the strongest. Vegeta has to be upset about that, but grudgingly respect him. Piccolo has to be kind of just like over here, and then just like pops up sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
There's certain rules you have to follow. I mean, is that true? Like, I mean, if we're talking about something like Dragon Ball, I mean, that seems like that's the case.
Also, it's sort of changing too. Like one, I did want to say is like it's a little shocking to hear like 70 issues is like the the max in a way. I was like, oh wow, I thought it'd be a lot more. Like where a particular creative gets a hold of it. So that's very interesting. But also I would say like right now, like in a lot of manga, like they're starting to branch off, like where like the original creator will still be attached, but like not creating like what he used to, because maybe like he's either like done, like like for example like Kishimoto for Naruto, like Kishimoto is still involved with Boruto, and Boruto manga is popping, like where there's a different creative Ikimoto, but like Kishimoto is like very involved in, or like is still like overviewing, is like this is the world, but Boruto 2 Blue Vortex looks different, feels very different, like has a new star. Naruto has been shelved, not killed, but like in a different place, like where like we can't access Naruto. With One Piece, there's still One Piece being created, but there are side stories, like as you had mentioned, but they're like usually like prequels. Like I would say like there's Ace's story, like where it's like not maybe like the formation of this character, but like maybe this character is doing a side mission that like makes his storyline make more sense in a way. And then like what other example did I have in mind? There's a few like big titles like where like they like you can't like really mess with like the original formula too much or like really reinvent it, I guess, like in a way like how Western comics have done. But I have seen, for example, I was thinking Jujutsu Kaisen, that has just finished the manga, and then there's a sequel series that just came out. Is at least it's touted to be pretty short. We don't know how many chapters it's gonna be, but is like 40-50 years in the future, like near future, and like new cast, but like a lot of like old stars are like still like in the background and like still able to help out. So like it still sort of continues in a way. Like I think everything is still like pushing, whereas like at least how you just explained it to me, like with comics, is like I can see like a sort of reinterpretation, like where you get to like really understand the characters even better than before, I think. And I think that's pretty neat, especially like doing these sort of big, like Flashpoint. That sounds huge. Like I had heard about, New 52 for a long time. It's like it sounds like this is like a good way to like get people into what's happening again.
Yeah, I mean it can be. Sometimes it's it all kind of depends. I mean, obviously it comes down to planning, different things like that. And the New 52 wasn't the best planned event ever, but to the point of like long running series, right? Like there are instances where you have writers who just stick on a series and just write it for seemingly eternity. But the last time that we really saw like someone writing a comic for over a decade was Dan Slott when he was writing Spider-Man. Ever since then, you don't really see writers who are like, I'm writing this title and I've been writing it for a decade, and this is my thing now. Usually, it's just a writer who writes a character. Like I think when Tom King was writing Batman, the idea was that he was going to write it for like 100 issues, and we didn't even get to 100 issues. I don't think. At least I don't think he did. I think it ended up ending somewhere in the 80s, but I can't remember the exact issue number. And then it just kind of switched over to a new writer. But yeah, you don't really see very many instances of writers sticking on titles long term the way you do with like anime and manga, because it's just like a person's project where they're like, I'm going to start writing this, and I'm just going to keep writing it until I retire. Like One Piece has been going on for what, like almost 30 years or something like that.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah, it's been going on for like the longest.
I think 29 this year. Yeah, I think it
29
started.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, let me actually check that out. But yeah.
Yeah, it's been going on for a really, really long time. Having said that, I mean, it's not to say that when a new writer comes on and takes over a title that it's just kind of like a reboot or a clean slate or something like that. Things certainly get carried over. The things that people really enjoyed usually get carried over, but a lot of times, as far as I understand it, it's left to the discretion of the writer to decide whether or not those things are going to continue on. But to the point about anime and manga in that way, I think that's kind of one of the bigger contentions that you see with like these huge debates, with anime, manga versus comic books, different things like that. But manga specifically, right? If we're talking about like the written word, is that with manga, it's a guy who sits down and is like, here's where the story begins, right? And then it's like 15 years later, and now we're done. The end. And like you close the book and like that's it. Yeah. Right. I don't know I mean there's certainly exceptions, right? One Piece, Dragon Ball, things that transcend the anime genre and then just like go into pop culture, right? Where they're bigger than the industry that they're a part of, or that they were based out of. But with comic books, it's just like, yep, so Spider-Man's been a hero since like 1962. And he will be forever, right?
One thing I had been in the back of my head is like, would you suggest to somebody like, oh, this is your favorite hero, you need to read everything, like start from the 60s and just go.
I usually never do that. There are people who will, right? And there's certainly like for example, like people come along and they say, like I'm like, I want to get into Spider-Man. Spider-Man is arguably the face of Marvel Comics, right? I think in this day and age, you could make an argument that there's some characters that may be a little more popular, or rival him in popularity. Iron Man, right? Even if his books don't sell as well, the name recognition is up there, with Spider-Man. But somebody comes to me and they say, I want to read Spider-Man. Where do I start? And there's a couple different places. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, are you looking to get into like crazy epic stories, or you just want like read this story to get a feel on whether or not you like Spider-Man? And if their stance is like, I just want to read a story to know whether or not I like him, cool, go read Back to Basics by Nick Spencer. Done. Right. But if somebody comes to me and they say, I want like epic stories, it's like, cool, start with Big Time from Dan Slott and just work your way to the Clone Conspiracy. You're going to be reading basically like, what was it, 2005, 2006 when Big Time started, I think, going all the way up to Clone Conspiracy was part of All New, All Different Marvel Worldwide. So 2019, I think, so 14, 15 years. I may be wrong on the years, but over a decade, right? Of Spider-Man. Like, you're reading that much Spider-Man. But it's worth it if you like great big huge epic stuff, because you get Superior Spider-Man, Spider Island, right? You get all kinds of cool stuff that comes out of that. The Spider-Verse event, right? Probably the biggest thing to come out of Dan Slott's run. So it really kind of depends. But there's rarely ever been an instance when I've told someone, you should go back and read Lynn Wine's Spider-Man run, from like the 80s, 70s and 80s. Or I tell people, you should go back and read Walt Simonson's Thor. It's a great run, right? It's a phenomenal run on Thor. But I usually tell people just go read Jason Aaron, right, if you're looking to get into it.
I'll probably people watching or taking some notes.
I will say, I will say, like, it's telling someone where to start with comic books can be kind of a daunting task, because not everyone wants to start at the same place and not everyone likes the same thing. Whereas if somebody comes to you, right, and they say, okay, Godswill, I want to start with like, One Piece, right? Where do I start? And you're like, you start 29 years ago. Right, you go back 29 years and just work your way forward from there. Like
I just tell everyone, go at your own pace. Luckily it is very easy for manga. Just like, all right, what do you like? Okay, cool. Start chapter 1 of this. Like I can't really imagine telling somebody to split it up, you know. But I would always be like, just do a little bit, see where you like it, like this. One more question, I think. Like, I was even thinking, like, because I read a few comic books, not too many, but I read like Civil War, like, and like I read like all the comic books that were like in Civil War. You know, like reading like every hero's perspective. And I guess would you suggest that's a thing to do too? Like, I got to learn about like quite a few different groups and people. You know, like for example, like Heroes for Hire, where I was like, oh, I never knew.
Heroes for Hire is cool.
Yeah.
Heroes for Hire. That's an old school team. Yeah.
Yeah, where I was like, oh, okay, like here's a new hero group, or here's, you know, like the X-Men, how they feel about this, and oh, here's how, you know, whatever, I guess, you know. So like, I guess would you say somebody to read like an arc or I guess like a storyline and like check out everything within that, or would you say like follow like who you like, or you know, like maybe like the main parts of it?
You know, honestly, starting with an arc is a great way to start. I would probably say skip tie-ins because tie-ins are where you start getting out into the weeds. Because then you do start running into things like Heroes for Hire, which is not an inherently bad thing, but it kind of depends because sometimes you can pick up in the middle of a storyline, right? Because not every tie-in ties in directly to the story. Sometimes, like for example, right now in DCKO, are you familiar with what's going on in DCKO?
No, not at all.
Oh my god, dude. Okay,
Buddy.
gosh, well, it's amazing. So DCKO is this whole tournament going on where basically a whole bunch of superheroes are all fighting each other, right? To like attain this crazy level of power, right? But it's like it's a tournament, right? It's a battle, right? And so you get some really dope stuff out of it, right? I think like Superman fights Homelander, right? And like and it's crazy stuff that goes on, but it's a phenomenal event, right? People are in love with it.
It's Tournament of Power from Dragon Ball.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Perfect explanation. Yeah. I mean, there's no Jiren as far as I'm aware. You know, or like hit or whatever his name is. Somebody like stops time so you can't hit them. But yeah, no. But it's a really popular event. As part of that event, you have what's called Justice League Red, right, which focuses on a character Red Tornado and a handful of others, and they're dealing with Black Adam, but it has nothing to do with DCKO, right? So you know, it takes place during it, but it's not really part of it. They just slap the label on it in order to get more sales out of it, but. You kind of run into that sometimes. So I think core stories like Civil War, right? Mark Miller's Civil War issues like 1 through 7. Great way to start. Right? Great way to get into comic books, because that's how I did it back in the 90s. Right? It was like the age of events. So you sit down and you read the Onslaught Saga, Age of Apocalypse, Operation Zero Tolerance, Extinction Agenda. Right? You read like all these different stories. You know, from like the X-Men and crossover events and whatnot, and then it starts branching you out into like Captain America, Spider-Man, Iron Man. You know, what is it? Oh my God, what was it? ForceWorks, right? Iron Man's reworking of the West Coast Avengers team. You start getting into like all these little tie-ins and things like that, which is really fun, right? And it's really, really cool. But, you know, having said that, right, because I kind of want to pick your brain here, right? So as a guy who's like a comic book fan, and to give you a frame of reference here, right, I like grandiose cosmic events. Right, so like one of the best story arcs that came out recently was Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, right? And we're talking about like the collapse of the multiverse, right? These beings, the Beyonders, who are like just these omnipotent guys from beyond the multiverse and so on, right? The end of all things, and Doctor Doom becomes God, you know, all that kind of crazy stuff. If what I dig is just crazy bonkers stuff like that, and like high action things like solo leveling, right, where it feels like Dragon Ball on steroids, right? If it's, you know, things like that are so cool. Which, by the way, I also want to talk to you guys about that. I want to talk to you guys about that whole thing. Like it's because I'm trying to figure out where the hell they even go with this show. But if that's the thing that I'm interested in, and people who are watching this and are getting into anime and manga are digging that kind of thing, like what are we reading? Like what do you suggest?
Yeah, oh, great question. I mean, a few things came to mind as you brought that up. One is Undead Unluck. Like, and I think like quite a few anime and manga, like they start off, you know, just sort of like, you know, hey, we're just here, and then eventually scale up to be like, oh, we are fighting gods, we are gods, we are, you know, like I think a lot of them seem like sort of innocent, just like, oh, you know, we're just going about our business, or it's gonna stay here like in this contained area, but then it usually balloons into like a crazy way. And I think Undead Unluck like is like a really good example of that, like where it, you know, just seems like, oh, this is a quirky way of like, you know, the cool power, and then like I think around chapter 20, it starts like going crazy, like where it's like, oh, we are talking about seasons, you know, like the concept of like what is a season, and that becomes like a anthropomorphized like body that like we have to like contend with for some reason, you know, like, or you know, like stars like as a concept, and it's like we have to like contend with that eventually, and then it goes bigger and bigger. And I think that's like a good one that just finished like about a year ago, and I thought it was a great way, like a great journey, like all the way until the end. What's another good like sort of universal Beyonder-esque title? I gotta think some more about that, but definitely Undead Unluck like came to mind with that. I think also
Bias with some more things coming out. Undead Unluck pretty damn soon. This is the guy who plays Spoil.
Which one?
Undead Unluck.
You want to watch that
Undead
one?
Unluck, banger.
Yeah. I gotta text these to myself because I have a terrible memory. So if I don't text it to myself, I'm gonna be like, "What was that anime that Godzilla was talking about?"
Yeah, I feel you with that. Like, I try to write things down like as people like tell me, you know, because otherwise there's just too much. And I complain to Bill all the time about this. I'm just like, there's just too much everywhere all the time.
I like how you put it in the group. Yeah,
I was like, I got you, fam.
Okay. So in that case, so here's like a frame of reference of how like gods work in Marvel Comics, right? And then you can kind of like guide based on or offer suggestion based on that. So in Marvel Comics, you kind of have levels of it, right? So you have like elder gods, like gods who existed on Earth at one point. There were different events that transpired, but effectively they took off to other dimensions, and now they try to like influence Earth from those other dimensions, which I think is a pretty standard method of storytelling within anime and manga, right? Like this god over here is trying to like invade Earth or something like that. And then beyond that, you have kind of like traditional gods, as you may see them. They're actually called Sky Fathers. This is like your Zeus, Odin, you know, guys like that. Well, they're powerful, and honestly, their level of power, I think, has shifted over the years in Marvel Comics. So, like, back in the 80s, they were, like, omnipotent, right? Nowadays, they're just, like, really strong guys that you could kill if you were strong enough, right? And then beyond that, you start going into cosmic entities, right? So that's when you start getting into eternity, infinity, oblivion, and they're really more abstracts, right? So they're like the physical manifestation of concepts, right? Infinity represents, Infinity represents time. Eternity represents the full space of the universe. I think ever since I was a kid, I always got the two of them switched. But basically, between the two of them, it's brother and sister. They represent the form and function of the universe from its beginning all the way to its end. And then you have like Mistress Death, right, who represents what it means to die and so on. Like they can take physical forms and interact with people. And then beyond that, on a multiversal level, you have like the Living Tribunal, right, designed to kind of make sure there's balance among the different universes. So what's the anime and manga equivalent of that?
I think I got what I can throw at you, bro.
Bill's got his hand up. Bill's got his hand up. For
Okay,
the
ready? Ready for the longest title you've heard in your life. You should check out That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime.
Yes.
Hold on. Okay, let me. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in.
Great choice, Bill.
To sell you within the first like 5 minutes, you have this dude who's like, we'll just say, well, no, I'll make this switch. Rob situation. Ready? Rob. All right. So you're walking out on the town, doing your thing, gonna meet up with your friend and this girl, right? All life is all roses and candy for you. You woke up, you had your cornflakes, life's good. You get stabbed. You're dying. This has happened.
Just like that?
Yeah, dude gets stabbed. It's like the first 30 seconds. He gets stabbed. Like, da-da-da, blah. There's no reason. A guy just stabbed him. You're bleeding out. He starts describing what he's feeling as he's dying. All of a sudden you hear like, oh, everything's so warm. Heat resistance activated. What? Doesn't quite click. Describes the numbness. And all of these things keep popping up. Dude, he's blue. He's dead. Gone. Wakes up in a whole other world as the lowest level creature of RPG, a slime. Ironically, you, Rob, have every resistance known to man and God that you described as you were dying. And the ability to absorb things and gain their power, including other creatures. So within like the first 2 episodes, they give themselves a physical form outside of a slime. And it's what you do in a full RPG world of demons, dragons, deities, kings, dwarves, and the like. I'm talking like Tolkien levels of things. It's what this person does, and it is a wildly entertaining show.
Yep, I have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Like just
Okay.
the scale of how far it goes, like is really crazy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actually, like now, like you bring that up, Bill, like there's quite a bit of anime that like scales up really quickly too. You know, it's like, I mean, Attack on Titan is
Oh,
like a big
yeah.
level, right? Yeah, like that's like a huge one.
I tried to get into Attack on Titan, and Attack
Yeah.
on Titan held my interest for like the first couple seasons,
Yeah.
and then after a while, I was just like, I'm okay.
Not feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, I got far enough in that I learned about
You
like,
tried
the
it.
origin of the Titans, and like what's her name, who like all the offspring of her, like going down the genealogy line, like they all take the form of a Titan in some capacity, and like it's like okay, that's cool and everything, but I don't know. For me, I just like high octane, crazy battles stuff, right? So that's why I love solo leveling. Right, because it's just like I keep getting stronger and I keep getting stronger. Okay, here's my question, because I want to know what you guys think about this. Here's my question.
Yeah.
So watching solo leveling, my thought process here is that he's actually in a video game.
Maybe. I mean, I read the manga for it, and I was a little surprised that like at least then again, let me not say too much. I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, I'm
Fair
sorry,
enough.
I'm not talking to the chat here. They all are, they're going in on anime. But
Yeah.
I'd say you really can't go much further than that. How about, can I recommend a weird one for you that I think you'll like? Is you like kind of high octane, kind of fun?
Okay.
All right, this is not a long anime. It's gonna be like 20 episodes, and it's one of my personal favorites. It's called Bakano.
Oh yeah, although it's hard to find.
Bakano?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a little hard to find.
I
But
understand.
I believe in you. Ready? Here's the situation. Two rival gangs, Immortal Alchemist, Satan, and regular Steve are all stuck on a train together. That's the best I can describe right then. It is absolutely wild. Oh yeah, and throw in Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, it's absolutely wild, dude. It is a fun, absolute roller coaster of an anime of these people of what. No, I can't. I literally can't say. I can't say anything more than that. It's almost like falling out my chair here.
You know what that reminds me of? I mean,
What?
just listening to that description, it reminds me of the movie Smoking Aces.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so is it like Smoking Aces if it was an anime?
More crazy though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's crazy. But
Yeah.
Oh, have you seen Bullet Train?
Okay. Dude, I was just thinking about that too.
Yeah,
With Brad Pitt?
it's
Yeah,
it's
okay.
very much like Bullet Train.
Okay, yeah. Bullet Train is great. I love Bullet Train. Okay, I'll have to check this out.
Dope.
We got the chat throwing out things like Hajime no Ippo. You should definitely watch that. Durarara is another one for you. But on the same vibe, I had a question for the both of you guys here to kind of help us narrow this one down a little bit here. We'll make it easy. We'll do guys. Well, then we're gonna do you, Rob. As you guys have got like a vibe for what you guys kind of like, name 3 manga for you, Goswell. And if you have 3, we'll go with comic stories. Or even arcs that you like, you recommend to the other to hype in. And by all means, go in on your answer.
Like any titles or like
Any title.
like
Bill, you got to put these in the group chat.
Yo, I got you.
so yeah, like that. I'm trying to think like what titles would I want to talk about. I mean, I always talk about One Piece. One Piece is like, of course, like it's my favorite title franchise of all time. I think it's the most important series right now to check out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, like whether you're in the industry or like you're outside of it, I have a blast with it. I mean, yeah, like it's very goofy, but like that's part of the charm. And just the adventure like it has gone through, and the fact that it's getting better and better still as it goes actively. Like it was a giant snowball that like starts off middling, and then like it really builds up, and then now is this Katamari Damacy level world that you really can't like avoid. And then number 2, like you like action stuff, right?
Yeah, I like action, high octane.
Yeah.
like I would skip over the dialogue in Dragon Ball Z if that gives you that.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Good to know. You know, I think Black Clover is
Oh.
really hype. Yeah, like it.
Okay.
You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, it's like this, is stole from yada yada, but I think it comes into its own like pretty quickly, and I mean, it's beautiful action just like throughout. You know, like it's something that I think is like, especially like now it's almost done, but like the later arcs, wow, like I just like action, how's this gonna go, what's happening. I think it's a dope time if you're looking for something that's just action heavy. And then number 3, honestly, you got to go with Berserk. You know, like
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah,
I have never seen Berserk, never read Berserk. I've heard people suggest the heck out of Berserk.
Read it, like definitely like is better as a manga. Like the anime has had some hit or miss adaptations, but like the manga, it's beautiful and like it's talked about for a reason, like so often. A lot of people sort of stop, like, or at least I haven't like heard a lot of people like talk about what happens after like the great big moment, you know, like where he gets like the brand tattoo, you know, like that you've probably seen like quite a bit. But I think it just goes crazy bonkers. Many times you're like, is this guy gonna be all right? Is he gonna be able to survive this onslaught of demons? And just the way that the story unfolds, like, and like grows, like it's beautiful. It's sad that like the creator died. I stopped right before he died, but like I think it was very beautiful. And then like I hear current stuff is great, so Berserk is definitely worth a try.
Yeah, I've heard incredible things about Berserk, but people keep telling me all the time that I have to check it out.
Get on, I think it's on Netflix. They have like a Golden Age arc thing where it's like they just kind of compile the first big arc into like 3 big movies. I would say give that a shot.
That would actually be pretty cool to me.
I don't watch anime for it. I say read it. Yeah.
I was big, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't watch anything for it. Just read it.
All right, guys. Will, I see you. Solid choices, especially Berserk. It's so good. Especially, I'm looking at everyone here right now. After the Golden Age arc, it only gets better.
Yes.
The Berserk armor.
I like how Bill put here. He said Berserk. You're welcome.
Yeah, bro. Berserk is like, we're gonna make testosterone into an anime. This guy was literally born on a battlefield and wields Cloud's Buster sort of like a butter knife. Yeah. And there's so much I want to say right now. I know Goswell knows, the chat knows. Rob, I'm pretty sure you'll make a whole manga YouTube after watching 1 episode of Berserk. Read the first few chapters. You're gonna be sold.
Oh yeah, like I like Dude, immediately, like and just the way it grows, I think is amazing. Also, I saw somebody in the chat say Claymore. Claymore, I think is like really good. Yeah, I just finished it like last year, and like it was very different because like all the main characters are women. And like they are trying to survive in the world that hates them because of what they are, but they gotta like be like this world's type of police in a way, like in the way that goes, it's amazing. So that's another manga I think you should check out too.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what these are like, because I mean, you know, admittedly, of course, when it comes to anime and manga, it can be hit and miss just based on the person. Like there were people who were talking about how amazing Death Note was, and Death Note was great, but it should have ended when L died. Like Light should have gotten away with it, I think. You know,
yeah, possibly, yeah.
Like either that, like to me, it should have ended when L died, and then Light should have gotten away with it. But then it would have turned out that he became so immersed with the Death Note that he ultimately became a Shinigami, and that's how Shinigamis come into existence. Is the more you write in the Death Note, the more you lose your soul to the Death Note, and then you end up becoming a Shinigami bound to the Death Note. And like I think, yeah, I think that would have been really, really awesome. But yeah, okay. So
that would be that's perfect.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I honestly I think it would have been cool because I was doing a Twitter space some months back, and I think somebody mentioned that, if I remember correctly, we didn't really get to see much of the Shinigami dimension. Like, I think he traveled there for a very brief period of time.
Yeah.
It was talked about or something like that, but we didn't get really any like meaningful, history. But I think it would have been cool if it had turned out that everybody who was a Shinigami was just obsessed with the Death Note and ultimately end up being bound to it. The more names they had signed into it, or the
That'd be really
more
cool.
names they put into it.
Yeah, I like
Dude,
that
yeah.
as a twist.
I've been dying with the memes online being like, R.I.P. Light, you would have loved Epstein Island. So many names.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah,
I saw that
people
today.
show up at the island like, just sign your name and
Yeah.
How many little children?
sign their names.
Sign here.
Yeah, sign their names in the Death Note. Yeah, that was amazing. Okay, so comic book storyline.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, number one, Adam, the Legend of Blue Marvel. It's impossible to get physically. You'd have to read it digitally. Yeah, just because the trade paperback right now I think runs for like $400. But it's a phenomenal comic book. It's a phenomenal story.
Okay.
So I would highly suggest checking out Adam the Legend of Blue Marvel. After that, okay, are we talking about single story arcs or are we also including events?
Oh, King, go off. This is your time.
Oh, well, Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, and Secret Wars 2015, out and like far and away, right? Those are like my two choices right there. God, Bill is gigantic. Jeez, that guy is
Oh, yeah.
huge. But yeah, Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, far like.
Oh, what's got
You mean these niggas right here?
Whoa, you've got the collection. You've got the
Ready.
collection.
He's
What?
ready.
Please keep talking. Guys, we're gonna borrow both
You've
these.
got the
Keep talking.
omnibuses.
Yeah.
Got to now.
I mean, okay, because we're talking like with all of with the whole run and everything, like about 100 issues, give or take a little bit. Actually, well, probably not about 100. Maybe more like if you include Secret Wars, probably just under 100, somewhere in the 80s or 90s. Because I'm pretty sure Avengers ran to 44, 46, and then New Avengers ran to 44, 46, I think it was. But nonetheless, right? So you're talking, somewhere just under 100 issues. So that's my number two. And then for the third one. Damn.
Take your time.
I mean, there's so many ones that run. There's so many that run through my head. I mean, there's Action Comics Rebirth, Superman Rebirth. There's Jeff Johns' entire Green Lantern run, which is actually really, really solid. You know what? Yeah, I would go with that. I would say Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. Yeah.
Jeff Johns is fucking solid.
How come that one?
Because it completely redefined the Green Lantern mythos. Yeah, it completely redefined it. Up until Jeff Johns took over, you just had the Green Lantern who was weak to the color yellow. And Hal Jordan, went crazy, started calling himself Parallax, yada, yada, yada. That all happened during Zero Hour or whatever. But then Jeff Johns comes along, and it's like, actually, so the way it works is there's this thing called the emotional spectrum that everyone taps into. And the emotional spectrum has like avatars, so to speak, or entities that embody it. And Green Lanterns are weak to the color yellow because the fear entity, Parallax, was actually confined inside the central power battery. So once he's removed, then there is no weakness to the color yellow anymore. There's no weakness to the color yellow anymore. It's things like Sinestro builds his own core called the Sinestro Core. You get the Red Lanterns of Rage, the Blue Lanterns of Hope. I mean, it just goes. It was a massive expansion of the Lantern mythos in a way that just had never been done before. And honestly, to the point now where like there's no going back. That's to the point that you were talking about. We were talking about the idea of expanding on comic lines. Yeah, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle, right? It's like saying Super Saiyan doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, that dog don't bark. No one's gonna believe that, right? You come out there and you tell people, guys, so Super Saiyan doesn't exist anymore. We're undoing all of that, and it's just Kaioken and varying degrees of it. Yeah, people are gonna riot. Like, yeah, anime fans are gonna lose their minds. Yeah, it would be pandemonium. But yeah,
Although that could be cool in a way,
Yeah.
like sort of scaling it back in order to tell more of the story with it. But yeah, at the same time, yeah, I agree with you. It's like it's so inherent to what it is these days that
yeah.
you can't really think about it like that. Yeah, that's cool though. I'm gonna try to check out like some of these. I love that.
I mean, honestly, if you're looking for one that you can like read when you have spare time, I would look up the digital version of Adam, the Legend of Blue Marvel. Right, you can get on like Marvel Unlimited or something like that. When we're talking about, when I'm talking about things like Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run, I mean, these are things that you would probably read in your spare time over several years, right? Because Jeff Johns' run ran for like 10 years. Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers, it didn't run, it only ran for about 5 or 6 years, but I think about 5 or 6 years. But you're also talking about, because it has like an 8-month time skip, so you're throwing in a lot of tie-ins that take place during that. So it's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So yeah.
Also, I guess when you say issues, like I'm thinking like these are chapters, but I guess they sound longer than chapters. Would you say that?
You know what? Okay, I will answer that question with another question. How do chapters work in manga?
I mean, yeah, it's like chapter 1 usually is like 50 pages, and then chapter 2 onwards is like 20 to 30 pages, and sort of all, you know, of course building up, you know, like what you read last time builds up on this one, and then a lot of these titles, like they run from about like 200 to 300 chapters, so you know, go on weekly for a certain amount of years if they're really good. So for example, like Undead Unluck, that was like 200 plus chapters, really fun run. Each chapter is like 23 pages, you know, not too hard to read. One Piece, of course, yeah, the longest one that we, you know, is on this list. There's a few that are longer than One Piece actually, but One Piece is like at chapter like 1000, almost 200 right now. And you know, I would say like that like has like sometimes like a few less chapters, a few less pages in their chapters. So I would say like 15 to 20 pages, I would say.
Oh, so comics are not exactly like that. Unless we're talking about double-size issue, comics run about 20 some odd pages. You know, usually about 27 pages. Although with Marvel recently, they've been doing a bunch of ads in theirs. So I'd say maybe, less than 30 pages. And then actual meat and potatoes content, leaving out titles, leaving out in previews, about 26, 27 pages of actual stuff. So then we have what are called trade paperbacks. So most story arcs run about 6 issues, so about 120 pages, give or take a little bit, and maybe a little bit more. And then those go into a single trade paperback, and that's just your 6th issue. And then what Bill has are what are called omnibuses, right? So just a collection of trades. And so depending on the size of the run, omnibuses will actually be, or a story arc will be connected or collected in several omnibuses because it's so big, right? So Jeff Johns' entire Green Lantern run, I think, is 3 omnibus volumes. I don't remember if Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers is only 2. I think it might only be 2. But you can also get the individual trade paperbacks. But the reason why I say, why I usually talk more often than not issue by issue, is because when you're talking about things like Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers run, it's written in a wonky way, right? So you'll read New Avengers issues 1 through 3. Then you'll go to Avengers and read issues 1 through 6. Then it's like New Avengers issue number 4, and then Avengers 7 through 9, and then New Avengers 5 and 6. Yeah, I know. It's the way he writes it. But when you read it issue by issue, it kind of creates for a more fulfilling story, more fulfilling story.
Interesting. So how would you know the order to read it in?
So sometimes it depends. Like it really depends. Like some part of it is, well, nowadays there's a lot of websites that'll put together they'll put together reading orders. In the comic books, if it's like an event, they'll actually have like a checklist for you. Right, so it'll say like DCKO checklist, right? And it'll be like, this is the order that the comics come out, or this is the order of the storyline. That kind of becomes problematic because you run into delays, right? So if you're reading DCKO, you read DCKO number 3, and then let's say you're supposed to read Superman number 34 next, but it's been delayed by a month, right? So then you got to skip that one, and then you got to read a different one. And so if you're someone who's a huge stickler for reading things in continuity, right, like following the order of the storyline, then maybe you just read it when it's all done, right, or something along those lines. But yeah, it's why I say I love comic books, man, but trying to go issue by issue and read stories issue by issue as they come out can oftentimes be a massive pain in the ass.
Sounds hard, honestly.
It can be very tough, but I will say there is nothing like going back and reading Jonathan Hickman's Avengers and New Avengers run issue by issue, the way it's meant to be read, going all the way into Secret Wars 2015. It's the greatest comic book storyline ever told. Like it's an incredible run.
I gotta peep that for real. And I guess
it's amazing.
Something that comes to mind is like, do you think like I guess like these main studios are doing a good job? I guess like getting people into comics. Like I think like something
No,
that
they're
comes
doing a
to
piss poor job. They're doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Godswill. That's dude. That is actually okay. So here's a funny thing. That's actually a huge issue among the comic book scene as a whole. It's a huge issue for guys like me. I mean, sure, if Marvel and DC were good at marketing their comics to the average person, I would be out of a job. Right, I would have a job. Or my viewer count would be much lower than it is right now.
Dang.
Yeah, such as it is, right? They're very poor, and it's to the point where like comic book stores are frustrated by it because they don't really do much in the way of advertising. I mean, when was the last time that you watched a video on YouTube, you know, and it's like, make sure you buy the newest issue of Superman at your local comic book store, you know,
Wow.
like on a YouTube ad. You never see that.
Not
I
at
think the
all,
last time they did anything meaningful like that was during like the New 52, when they were doing a huge marketing blitz to get people into it. But outside of that, no. And it kind of makes sense, right? You know, in what is it, 2024, I think, the total amount of revenue generated by the comic book industry. When I say the total revenue, Godswill, I'm talking Marvel, DC, Image, Boom, Dark Horse, all the way down to the indies. The guy who launched his own publisher just to release his own book and only sold 3 copies. Right? Kudos to him, right? He wrote and sold 3 more copies than I ever have. But you know, the total revenue generated was something like $2.9 billion, right? Avengers Endgame made more money than that. So from Marvel's perspective, I can see why they don't go balls in advertising the hell out of their comic books if they're going to make one movie that will make up for the total amount of money generated by the entire comic book industry.
Wow.
Right. So yeah, you know,
Hey,
I mean, and,
bummer though. I mean, like for example, like one of my favorite games to play right now is Marvel Rivals, and it would be cool if there was like, oh hey, you're interested in learning more about Iron Man or Iron Fist or Luna Snow. Here are some cool comics that you should check out about them. You know?
yeah.
And,
Yeah, I mean,
I've with the movies. Yeah, it'd be cool. Like if like, oh, you liked Endgame? Well, here is, you know, here's like some comics you should check out or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It would be cool. I mean, the cool thing is that usually when it comes to that kind of stuff, you know, like right now, anything related to Doctor Doom, anything based on Secret Wars, will probably do well on the channel. Anything other than that from Marvel is just, who knows? It'll do well. It may not do well. It may struggle. People don't really care about Marvel at all right now. DC is where all the talk of the town is, right? If it's got DC on it, it's good. People are going to love it. Right? It's going to do well.
Okay. Actually, it was wondering. I was like, which one of the, I guess, comic lanes, I guess, or comic houses is doing better, you know, like, or doing the best right now?
Yeah, DC 100%. But I mean, okay, so I mean, does it work that way in anime and manga? Because I mean, you've got a lot of different publishers within the comic book industry, but the two big ones are Marvel and DC, right? Does it work that way on like the anime and manga side, right? Where it's like, because I've heard you mention things like Shonen Jump. I've heard of Shonen Jump, but you know, I know so little about it, I might as well not know anything at all. Yeah. So how does like all that work?
Great question. Like, and I think like it's still growing, especially like in the West. It's definitely like more settled in Japan. You know, like, oh, you read your magazine. You know, like you have your titles you follow, and you follow those very deeply. You know, you buy your Blu-rays for your anime, and also I think like a lot of people, even in the West, don't even know. I'm still learning myself, and I'm in the industry. Like unless you're like a hardcore, you know, fan, you know. So, but in the West, like the distributors, like the main ones, like are Crunchyroll, Netflix is like getting big into the game. Amazon's still there. High Dive was one that was big, but not anymore. Yeah, I think people split up their anime types. One by like, what do you like? You know, like there's shonen, which is, you know, usually geared for like young boys. Although anyone can watch whatever, you know, like, but you know, like, and when they made it in Japan, they had this as their audience in mind, right? So shonen, and usually that's like a lot of like the big popular stuff. Shonen Jump in America is, and like I would say like more worldwide, is like a collection of shonen titles that are very popular. So that's like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Dragon Ball, you know, like those big titles. And there's some new ones that are coming out that are even sort of breaking that sort of formula, you know, like for example, Kaiju number 8. That one stars like a man who's 34. So versus like usually like a lot of these characters are in their high school era, I guess, you know. So like there's more titles are coming out that are appealing to different audiences within this demographic. There's more female focused, like shoujo and josei, and like in America, like we have a magazine called Shoujo Beat, and that's the distributor for like a lot of those titles. And this is all the stuff like I understand. Like I'm still learning a lot myself. So I would say like in America, I don't think is like split up like DC Marvel. It's more like, oh hey, we're gonna watch this. People try to find it wherever they can, and it's more about like what are the popular titles that everyone's talking about. Like now, but it's also expanding a ton more, especially ever since the pandemic. People like are a lot more aware of anime and like the different anime as a medium, and then the different slices that are within it. And I especially like with the availability like Netflix or Amazon Prime, like a lot more people are getting into these things, and also a lot of nostalgia. Like a lot of people grew up with like Toonami, like a lot of Adult Swim anime that came out. So like I think a lot of people are getting into those and then starting to branch out from there. Anime has been going on for a long time, and there's just so many different types. So I was like to quickly go back to what you're saying. I don't think it's like a DC Marvel. I just think it's like what are the famous titles that people want to get into, and they figure out how to check it out from there.
Yeah, so that I think is cool. I think on the surface it can make it a little daunting, to just kind of be like, so what would I like? But I think that at the same time, it's kind of cool because you just jump in and figure it out, right? Like you look at Spider-Man, you're like, okay, cool. So he's just going to be like a guy who's probably going to be lighthearted. There's going to be definitely cracking some jokes, but like you kind of know what to expect to a degree when you go into like a Spider-Man comic, even if you've never read one before, right? Batman's going to be dark and brooding and probably a prick, so like to expect that when you go into a story. And Superman's going to be hopeful for the most part. You have a general feel of what to expect, but I think that with anime and manga, it's just. The best way that I like to think about it is that there really is something for everyone. And I know it kind of sounds cliche when you say that, but like myself and my girl, Mariah, we were watching, or she actually turned me on to Freerun.
Let's go.
And,
Yep, I was gonna bring up Freerun like as the title that like has blown up. That's like outside of like the standard formula of like, I'm gonna punch you really hard,
Yeah, I was like, I want to get into a new anime. And she's like, well, what are you thinking? And I was like, I want something I can kind of like drink some hot tea to and wind down to. And so she's like, let's watch Freerun. So I'm like, okay, we fired that shit up, dude. I fell asleep within like 15 minutes.
Really?
It was like the most relaxing thing I had ever seen.
Too relaxing.
I was like, yeah, it's too relaxing. Yeah, too relaxing. Now, don't get me wrong. Like once I stayed awake long enough to like, or at least once I was watching episodes like in the middle of the day. And I'm going through this. I'm like, dude, Freerun is cracked. Dude, that girl is so overpowered. It's not even funny. Like this is
like the action
stupid
of it.
how powerful she is. But
Yeah, the action of it's like crazy. Like once you like give it a chance, but it's a lot more than like you would expect. And like I would say like anime does a good job to me of like blending genres really well, and then also it does a good job of blending genres and like sort of breaking what you expect. Like one of my favorite titles is Golden Kamuy. It's like in the 1900s, there's a gold rush of sorts, but like the map for this gold rush is on the bodies of 20 escaped prisoners that just got out, like they escaped from jail, and
that's
like
kind of dope, actually.
it's pretty dope. Like and like they're doing like it's hilarious and like in a very macabre way. Yeah. But then also it's like it has great action. It will make you like sad. It'll teach you about like the indigenous Japanese group that's out there, the Ainu, and like it will do like a lot of different things that are sort of hard to explain. Freyrun is a great example too, like of like very sort of calming, but then also like when it gets into the action, it's going crazy. So yeah, I feel you with that. Like it's a little hard to, I guess, explain, especially like to somebody who's just getting into anime. But at the same time, I'm excited for your journey with it. Like I really got to hear like how that goes for you, like as you keep going.
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned about myself is I'm a little too impatient when I start them. And was that for you? Was it the same for you guys when you were getting into anime, where you're just like coming from like Western culture and like getting into anime, like, dude, this really needs to hurry up. Like, where you find yourself a little impatient with it?
I personally no. At least like one, it was just sort of like, at least I was always sort of like, wow, what is this?
Yeah.
And it was like, this is more interesting than like cartoons were, like back in day, and like I was enthralled with just how different it was, and then now, like in the culture, in anime culture, like we say, like you got to give it at least 3 episodes. You got to give it at least 3 episodes to see like if you like it or not. And then also for me, like being like a fan of One Piece, my buffer is so much bigger for sure. I guess like. Yeah. Thousands of episodes. I say you have to give One Piece at least 50 episodes, which sounds crazy. Absolutely.
Mariah says the same thing. Yeah.
Hold on.
She's like, oh, I'm caught up on One Piece, and I'm like, how far are you into it? She's like, 1,200 episodes, and I'm just like, oh.
How about this, Rob? Let me say something real quick. I'm gonna try to sell you on One Piece, real quick. Ready for this?
Bill, all right. I mean, look, you can give it a shot, man. But I'm gonna tell you right now, man. Many have tried. And many have failed.
Today's
my
the
girl
day.
Couldn't even get me into One Piece.
Well, listen.
My girl couldn't even. Okay.
If I told you I was Captain Jack in One Piece, would that help?
Probably not.
Okay. How about this? Ready?
Is because I sent this stream to Mariah,
yeah.
So Mariah could see it. And if you somehow managed to convince me to get into One Piece and she couldn't, she's gonna be kind of pissed. So like,
okay. Now you're only making this better for me now. I hope Mariah hears my voice right now. Okay. Rob, I am going to give you JoJo's and One Piece. Okay, ready? One Piece. Okay. It's gonna. Have you seen the live action?
No.
Okay, you watch the live action. You're gonna get through the first like 80 episodes of One Piece. Now that said, you're gonna have a long build with a whole bunch of badasses, but from a dude whose entire bit earlier in this very stream was talking about, okay, I want something where I kind of see these characters build. There's a lot of action, and much things go up to even like building even like deities and concepts of actually even like realities right there, right? One Piece absolutely delivers on that, while at the same time boldly hits even like everyday topics. Down to the point where like there's entire arcs where it's like, you know what? Fuck the government. Hope it out there. You know what? That motherfucker was racist as hell. We're gonna have pretty much Harriet Tubman on steroids. We're gonna beat the shit out of him, and after that, have this whole go to Wakanda. There's gonna be some infighting with pretty much Black Namor, and then this other dude who's voiced by Gabe Kundu, who's amazing. Right now, we're gonna have the Sun Pirates, and this whole little fight there is gonna go on for a minute, and it always ties back because there's never like a single wasted issue in the entire bit. Where it's like, wait a minute, that tattoo, oh my God, that's our water brother right over there who controls, he's like a water bender, but like a fish, but a man, he's kind of amazing. It's gonna get you because you're gonna constantly go back and go like, I'm gonna spoil something real quick. That dude, that piece of shit eating pie with Luffy way back when was who? Who controls gravity. Fuck off. The writing is brilliant, and it'll go from that, not even spoil anything, because if you go on the internet at all, to what does the fruit really mean? What's God? Why can I not go into the water if I have this fruit? Brother, I could preach this thing's gospel for days. The point was like, you're going to deal with colonization, you're going to deal with toppling everything from government to religion. Literally, that's where it got me. Where a guy who claimed to be God, and there was this bit where everything went from like action, alabaster, which this was the live action getting ready to go into right now, to like, all right, they're just kind of talking about a fruit and singing a stick, and all of a sudden, like, this guy you thought be important, dead. Lightning comes in the air, bah, he's gone. Like, we can't piss off God. I'm like, motherfucker, what? Excuse me.
Yeah, real quick, yeah, like, at least I wanted to share my part of it. Like, I have my own sketch or like my own little paragraph, my elevator pitch.
Double down.
Yeah.
We're gonna sell Rob today and piss off Mara.
Like at least for me, is like I've never had a show that made me laugh as much,
yeah,
cry as much, change my life professionally and personally like One Piece. And like I said earlier, like I think this is the most important title in the industry right now. The live action, Netflix has never poured more attention into like another franchise like this. The way it has inspired the world, like with the revolutions, like actual revolutions are happening around the world.
I saw that they were using the One Piece
Indonesia,
flag.
exactly, because of like the themes like that are happening. Like Bill was just talking about like Harriet Tubman. Like I have a tattoo.
Let's go.
Because of like
that's
how,
dope.
straight up, like the Sun Pirates right here. Like it's one of my favorite tattoos, and like for me,
Fish your
it's like,
tiger,
that
baby.
arc, it's like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Like how the government, like, is trying to stop their messages of like, well, actually working together and like the lengths that they'll go. The action's great. It'll take you like in unforeseen turns, and like as Bill has said, like it all builds up on itself. It all like nothing is really wasted, something that you think is just like, who cares about this, and then it'll show up later on. Great world building, great action, and like I said a little earlier, like the fact that like it is currently where it is currently is some of the best it has ever been is a feat, so I would say, at least, like if you want to give a taste of One Piece, you can definitely do live action, like where like it was like the first 60 to 80 episodes of like the anime, or like if you want to just dive into the anime, I say do the first 50 episodes. That's the first major arc, and it will show you if like you like the humor, the action, the themes enough, or if it's not your thing. Yeah, so
Okay.
hopefully that might change your mind. It would be great.
Okay.
I don't blame you if not, but at the same time, there's too many things. We already gave you like a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's too many. I mean, you just gave me like a bunch of things to check out. I have a bunch of things to check out.
Black Clover, like I have seen Black Clover on, I think on Crunchyroll.
Yes.
Whenever I would get on there. So Black Clover, that looks kind of cool. I think I might check that one out.
Yeah.
Let me-
Black Clover is lots of fun too.
Let me sprinkle a little something here. All right, Rob, ready? How about this? If I can convince God's will over the next month to read this, we'll go with Compendium 1 of Hickman's Avengers New Avengers. Can you give it a shot for the first, say, 50 episodes of One Piece? Live on Crunchyroll, not sponsored, totally sponsored by the Crunchyroll.
Sure.
Let's go!
I'll have to make sure that like Mariah thinks it's her idea.
Yeah, definitely.
She'll be heartbroken. if she
In
doesn't
fact,
think
it's because of her that like I want to go harder. Like,
honestly, like I kind of need to get caught up on One Piece because it really, like, I need to start watching because it really is like her favorite show. And she, she's my girl, right? Like, it's being interested in the stuff that she likes. I think is important.
Yeah,
so I need to
oh,
do
man.
that anyway.
Yeah, good. Look at you being a good partner. And like, I personally agree. Is like at least I've had like potential partners like get into One Piece because I'm interested in it. So it all helps. It's something cool to talk about. So hey, good. And definitely, I'm super down to read the compendium. Like I would love to share worlds and like see what I can gain out of that.
Yeah.
Man,
Cool. Yeah.
I love this.
look at this.
Yeah, it is a phenomenal story. So yeah.
Hey, you sold me on it real easy. Like, so hey,
I appreciate it. I'm glad.
Yeah. I think you said this whole stream, like I definitely, like I'm like, oh, you know what, maybe I should give comics a chance,
Yeah, it's just it's why I always tell people who are coming from manga, it's gonna take a little getting used to because you're used to like open and shut stories, and comics are not that at all, by any standard of measurement. Unless, actually, you know what? I take that back. Original graphic novels, OGNs. OGNs are standalone comic books. Yeah, OGNs are standalone. So, yeah.
Do you have any that you would suggest? Then again, you already gave me like quite a few suggestions of things I really want to check out, and I've been wanting to check out like more DC, Marvel world things. But I guess like, are there any OGNs that like you say like
Actually,
are
you know
worth
what?
getting into?
Yeah. If you're looking to get into DC Comics, check out the Earth One series.
Ooh.
Batman Earth One, Superman Earth One, Wonder Woman Earth One. Yeah, those are really good OGNs. In fact, I think if you were to walk up to anybody anywhere and ask them, "Hey, I'm looking into getting, I want to get into DC Comics. What are some original graphic novels you would suggest?" Those would probably be the first ones that would come to mind. I don't know why I didn't think of those before, but yeah, there's Green Lantern, Batman. I think there's Teen Titans, and there's Wonder Woman. But the Earth ones are really, really good. They're standalone. You don't need to know anything else.
Okay.
Just read it by themselves, and you're good.
Is there a particular one too that you would suggest to start?
Batman. Batman Earth
Okay.
One is really good. That's a great place to start. Batman or Superman Earth One.
Dope. Okay, I got myself a list. So let's do it.
Fair enough.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
Yeah.
Man, I would say this entire bit has been beautiful. Seeing comics and manga slowly coming together.
Bill, what are you guys doing after this? Are you guys wanting to play some Rivals?
I'm sneaking around.
Perhaps, yeah. Like, I might be down. Although, do you play rifles, Bill?
Listen, gentlemen, I'll be real with you. It's been a while. I was a Magneto main.
Oh,
Hey.
I've been.
I thought you were still playing. Yeah, I thought you were still playing regularly.
will happily play. I could do a little bit there. I've gone down the rabbit hole of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, bro. Me too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
God.
you were telling
We're
me about that.
we're deep in
I
Act 2.
warned you, man.
Bro, you're
I
right.
warned you about
You're
Baldur's Gate 3. I told you,
absolutely
I was like,
right,
If
man.
you're gonna play Baldur's Gate 3, you need to know if you can devote the time to it because that game will suck up your life.
Straight up.
Dude.
And Act 3 is
Yeah.
like taking up all my time. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking, like after this, I was gonna try to finish some more of that, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna pass out like a little earlier since I'm still feeling under the weather. But definitely had a great time.
Yeah.
This was very worth coming.
Oh
through.
yeah, this was definitely dope. Right, this was fantastic.
Then I might hit up the
Yeah,
group
dude,
chat and we
I'm
might have to
going
schedule up a
to
little
look at
something for maybe a little Marvel Rival stream.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, dude, I'm totally.
I got the Grandmaster 3, so you know.
With the flex, let's go, guys. Will.
Hey. Yeah, I'm super down, but yeah, I'm actually about to get back into Overwatch. I had taken like a season off of that, so but seeing everything about it now, I'm like, you know, maybe it's time.
Maybe it's
I wonder if
time.
it's worth getting back into because I used to be a Tracer main back in
Ooh.
the day.
I mean,
Yeah.
they just brought 5 characters into it, and then it sounds like people are having fun again, so I'm hyped.
Yeah, it's been like 7 years since I played Overwatch. So,
Wow, oh boy.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It
Like
has-
when I left, they had just introduced Sombra. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow,
been a while.
yeah. There's
So-
a lot of characters that have come through to it, so
Wow.
Yeah,
Is there like a
I mean,
whole new meta now? Is it just
different metas, I would say. Like, and also I need to see like this current meta. Like they just brought in Jetpack Cat, so and I've been seeing
That
like so many
sounds amazing.
videos. Yes, like where he can drop off like characters, or she. I think yeah,
Yeah.
the cat's a female. Yeah, character like it can fly, pick up characters and drop them off, or save characters, or you know like take someone like a whole AC anyone you know like just I'm gonna pick you up and you just start shooting everybody, you know. So sounds like a
Yeah.
blast. Like so, I'm excited to jump into that pretty soon.
You know, I might need to get back on Overwatch if for nothing else than just nostalgia.
Yeah.
Just like
See
the
how it goes.
nostalgia of it.
Now it's no longer
Yeah.
Overwatch 2. It's now just Overwatch.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will have to for one very large reason. Gentlemen, I'm all about hyping up my boys. One, voice of Wuyong would be Howard Wong.
Oh,
It's my
yeah.
boy. If I'm Saito, he's Kenshin. Actually, we are literally in the show. I support my boy Howard. Overwatch, congrats, King, for watching this.
Yeah.
And my boy who losing his goddamn mind, Alejandro Saab, who's the new voice
Yeah,
of
he's
Deadpool and Marvel
Yeah.
Rivals. That's what I gotta play as. Support the fam. We're gonna make this happen.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, Rivals makes a ton of sense to do, especially since we just got finished talking about Marvel. So I'm down for either one. If there's another game you want to do in mind, let me know. But yeah, definitely, it's a great time, y'all.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah,
But
this is awesome.
real quick, where can people find you, support you, and all the things you stream and do? We'll start with Rob.
Yeah, Godswill, are you on YouTube?
YouTube. I do a podcast on the side. It's called That's Dope Entertainment, and yeah, like yeah, just having lots of fun with it. So definitely,
Okay.
and like, that's dope, and like we are like on episode like 140 now. Like
Let's
just been doing it for a
go.
long time. Yeah, Bill's been on the podcast quite a few times, so maybe I gotta get you on the podcast sometime soon.
You should.
Fair enough. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll be down with that.
Yeah, that'd be dope. And then personally, yeah, like I'm God's Will of D. It's a One Piece joke. So yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I am on Twitter. Although Twitter is what it is right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere. Not TikTok.
Nice.
I don't do TikTok personally, but like yeah, I have fun. And then of course I also follow Viz Media for the latest news of whatever, and like I won't say like who's talking, but I talk on there sometimes. So
That works.
Awesome. And Rob?
Comics Explained across all socials. Although
Let's
I may
go.
end up deleting Twitter here in the next few months. Twitter's just.
I feel you with it. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, but that's dope. Keeping it simple. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's what's
definitely.
up. Well, Kings, I appreciate both of y'all. We're going to go ahead and hit
man.
our little stream ending screen here. And each and every one of y'all, really appreciate each and every beautiful king, queens, and rolling betweens popping into the stream. Bars, what's up? Anyway.
Okay.
Do me a favor. Hit a little link there. Join the Discord. It's literally called The Cookout. Tell your friends and look forward to another stream coming up real soon. See y'all on the